Welcome to Sharing Her Story, Unapologetically Ambitious with me, Christina. Welcome, y'all. Thank you so much for being back here for our second podcast. This is Sharing Her Story, Unapologetically Ambitious. Today, I have my sister, Angela, here with us. She's in Orlando right now. I'm so glad she's here. You want to say hi, Ange?
Hey, I'm Angela.
Yay!
I'm her younger sister.
Aha, funny. That's funny. Yes, barely. We're very close. To recap last week, it was me talking to you. I was just reviewing this podcast and it's going to be, I'm going to have women, moms, all kinds of ladies on here sharing their story. They're going to encourage you in all walks of life. Last week, it was pretty short, to the point. I launched my fundraiser that I'm doing. I'm taking my business on the road, and I asked you guys to join me. If you haven't seen that podcast, go back and listen to it. Today, we're here with Angela. She is an awesome businesswoman. She's a employer. She's also a mom to 4 awesome kiddos. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, she's the wife to Grant. She's here to tell us her story. She moved, I guess, from Memphis. How many years ago? I don't even know.
I think it's about 7.
7 years. So she moved her whole family down to Orlando, Florida. And we miss her here, but we still get to talk to her and we get to go visit. I'm excited that she's here with us, that she agreed to do this with me. She's going to tell us just about some obstacles in her life and then also her ambitious goals that she has and the choices that have proved successful and then maybe some that have proved not successful. And we're just going to hear from her. Before we launch into all the questions, Angela and I have something very much in common. We love to read books.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And yes, so we tried to do a book talk, but that kind of didn't work out. I wanted to ask you which book you're reading right now.
I got to pull up my Goodreads. The way that I do books, I have my fourth wing, right? Best guy. I think that's how you say it. My full-time job right now is not my business that we're going to talk about, but it's another business. With that business, I can listen to books all day. I can multitask. I have a physical book I'm reading. I have one that I'm listening to, and then I usually have one on my Kindle. At all times, I have several going. Just finished Listen for the Lie. So good. And then reading Book Lovers right now. Book Lovers is audio. And then Onyx Storm is physical.
You haven't finished it yet?
Oh. No, and it's because I have the audiobook, but like I want to physically read. I want to have it in my hands and physically read it because there's so many names. I just don't want to miss any. I don't want to listen to it at work where I can get distracted and not hear everything. I'm like 10 chapters in and there's things that I would have missed if I would have listened to it.
Well, because the way they pronounce the words on audio does not look like how they're spelt.
Oh, and I'm also reading Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. That's on my Kindle.
Gosh.
It's a fanfic. Awesome. So that's a whole new world ever.
Just to warn you, I threw Onyx Storm out the window. I was so mad at the way it ended.
Don't say anything. I know. I talked to somebody at my work and she was like dying for the rest of us to read it because she's like, I gotta talk to someone about the ending.
I got onto Rebecca Yarrow's Instagram and I went off at her.
She warned us, Christina. She told us it was going to be bad. She told us.
But
yes. She said, y'all are going to hate me. Because it's 5 books.
Why did she do that?
I don't know what she did. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
But also I read something that said that she was going to take a break for a while. And I was like, why did she end it like that if she's going to take a break? I'm just,
it's going to be next year. I think it's going to come out next year, whatever.
It better. Okay.
That's why I'm savoring it because I don't want it to end. And I know something bad's going to happen.
I am not like you. And it's hard for me to listen to a book, read a book, and I can't do separate books at a time. I just finished Onyx Storm, and now I'm back into Kingdom of Ash.
I thought you finished it.
Not yet. I know.
And you thought you'd
I'm so
hate
excited.
The whole thing.
No. Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to tell me I'm going to hate the end of this one, too.
No. You said, I told you that I thought it was going to be your favorite, and you were like, no, it can't beat ACOTAR. So anyways, we could do a book podcast.
We should, because that would take forever.
Stick through with it, yeah.
I love talking books, just like you. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Is that okay?
Cool. Yep.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your family, a couple important values that you guys live by.
There's 6 of us, me and my husband Grant, and then we have 4 kids. Max is 14. He's our teenager. The twins are Piper and Jude, and they're 12 going on 13, and then Whit is 10 years old. 3 boys, 1 girl, and we live here in Florida. Awesome. So as far as family values, we've kind of revamped those in the past little bit, but our biggest thing right now we're trying to help our kids understand is just to be kind to people, be respectful to people. If there's somebody at school having a hard day, give them a little bit of grace. We just want to be a home that's super welcoming to anybody and everybody. I would say
that's awesome.
Kindness and being welcome and trying to be good people.
I love it. Yes. Tell us a little bit about not where you work currently, but the business that you started.
Yeah. I started Craft Cookie Co. Christina, you remember this obviously because you were there, but when the kids were having their birthdays, I had to go all out. Maybe I thought it was my job. Whenever the kids had their birthday parties, I just went crazy. I really loved having a cake, and I always wanted something extra. I started buying cookies from the girl. She's local in Memphis, but I wasn't working at the time. Grant was in the ministry, and his salary was not enough for a family of that time. We were a family of 5. I couldn't afford. Yeah, I know you do. I couldn't afford the cookies anymore. She had gone up way in price. I wanted something extra for the birthday parties. I just went on Pinterest and learned how to do cookies with royal icing. I think most people call them decorated cookies. I learned how to do it. Eventually people would get to where they're like, hey, can you do this for me? Yeah, for $100. No, I started off low. That was back in 2013. It's kind of like when I started the business. It was kind of just a side hustle. It was a part-time gig for me. I wanted a way that I could be at home with the kids, but also still bring in some kind of income. I wanted to contribute to our family, which I know I was contributing, but I wanted to, in a tangible way, contribute to the family. I know as a mom, that's a job, and it is for real. So we moved here to Florida. We knew that I was giving up all of my clients. I had, at that point, I had fostered people would buy for me from all the holidays, teacher appreciation. I knew that starting here, I'd be starting from scratch.
You basically went from a homegrown business to a very successful cookie business with no website. How did you do that?
When we got here to Orlando, I got on Facebook. That's where all the mom groups are. That's the ones they're doing the parties. I got on there, and then by getting on there, I got introduced to local bakers. We ended up having a text chat. There was only 2 cookie girls in the chat, but in the chat there was a bunch of cake girls and cupcake girls. If you couldn't fulfill an order, you would pass it on to the next baker. We had this one girl, and she did cakes, cupcakes, and Rice Krispie treats. She got on there and she was basically like, hey, I have to downscale. I need more home life. She said, does anybody want my clients for Disney World? And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, can I do cookies? And she said, yes. What Craft Cookie Co does now, which is different than, so before it was all custom orders. You'd come to me and be like, my kid wants a Spider-Man birthday party, and then we would do Spider-Man cookies. But for this is, I would say 90% of our business is travel agents who are sending people to Disney or Universal. They go onto our website, order a gift for their clients, and we deliver it to any of the Disney or Universal resorts. And so from that, we've branched out to, if you as a Tabenis family are going, you don't have a travel agent, but you just want cookies, you can also order from us.
You started the cookie business here in Memphis, but then you and Grant decided to make this huge move. Tell me a little bit about that. This big, ambitious decision to move your family away from both sides of the family. Grant's family is still here and our family is here. Talk about that decision.
Grant had been looking for another job for a while. There were a few places that we were interested in, and Florida was one of them because, you know, you were born in Florida. I lived here for 10 years. Grant was born and raised in Memphis, and so that's all he knew. It was just an opportunity to look elsewhere. If it works out, it works out. And we went on some interviews to a couple of different places and ended up working out that we moved here. It was a huge decision because we were leaving, like you said, both sides of our family. We had young kids. They were all super young, and we were leaving all of our babysit. We decided to do that, and we knew by moving here that I would eventually need to work. I started kind of trying to build the business here as much as I could.
What gave you courage to do that? What was going through your head to be like, okay, I'm going to go out on my own as a mom, as a homegrown business owner? What gave you the courage to do that?
I don't know if you feel like this, but I feel like us growing up, we got to see our mom, and our mom worked all the time. There maybe was a period of time where she was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit, but she was always providing income for the family. I think as a woman, I wanted to do that. Like, part of being a mom, I know we've all struggled with, is you feel like you aren't doing anything, when in reality you're doing a ton, but it's almost like there's not a return on your work. When you go to work, you do a 9-to-5 job, you can see the results, you can clock out and you can leave. But being a mom is just, you're there all the time. Right, you don't see the end results until they're moved out of the house. And what really got me going was I knew that we needed money. I knew that I didn't want to go out and get a job. I had not been in the work field for a while. My degree was in interior design, and I just knew that field is, once you get in and you get your, it's kind of like with the cookies. Once you get in and you get your clientele, you're good, but it takes a while to build up for that business. It was just a drive in me to succeed. There was a point where Grant and I, we were looking at our finances. Grant was like, okay, you got to go get a job. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And I said, give me, this was like August and the kids were going back to school. Give me until the end of the year. If nothing happens, I'll get a job. I had a deadline. It's either I reach that deadline or I go and do what I don't really want to do. Having that deadline was really helpful. I had a schedule for my social media. Every Monday I do this. Every Tuesday I do this. Every Wednesday I get on this Facebook post. Yeah. I was very organized. I have a planner, set goals, and I did my best to meet those.
That's awesome. I know recently things have changed within your family. Grant's gone into the more creative. He's doing a podcast. You guys have successfully built your family in order for him to make this change. And now you're back in full-time employment, and you've handed the reins over to him.
When the company turned around and stopped being just a side hustle was when we started doing the Disney and Universal deliveries. At that point, I was making a full-time salary. That fluctuates because of the type of business that is. It's selling goods to people. I was like matching what Grant was making in his job. Grant no longer had a job in the world that he was in the ministry world. And this company saved our lives. Like, saved our family, saved our lives.
That's awesome.
When everything was kind of blowing up and we had this.
You built this business and you got it solid, and it was a full-time income, and then it was an easy transition to transfer it over to Grant. It's awesome. Did you think that your life was going to end up like this?
No, this is definitely not where we thought it was going to be, but I love my job. I work for a construction company. I love it. It's a 9-to-5 job. The hours are actually better than 9-to-5. I get great benefits. I get profit sharing. All of the big advantages to working in a corporate company. And then Grant gets to do cookies. He's doing it full time. I went to school for interior design, so I thought that was going to be the route that I wanted to go in life. And here I am doing accounting and doing cookies on the side. I had fulfilled the dream that I had of wanting to start a business and for it to be successful. And honestly, I see this business and where we can give it to the kids. Max will start driving here in a little bit. We will hire him to be a delivery driver. And at some point, we could either sell the company off and make a good amount of money, or it's a niche market. If we moved anywhere else, we couldn't have this type of business because it delivers to Disney. Unless we moved to Disneyland, that would be our only other option. We deliver directly to Disney and to Universal. There's a lot of things that aren't what I thought my life was going to be, but it's really great. We're very happy. We get to have a business. When Grant and I first got married, he was like, I will never own my own business. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And here we are. Like, that business is what kept us afloat for a good year, like solely kept us afloat for a year.
As we close here, can you give the listeners a piece of advice? How would you encourage them to step outside their comfort zones, explore those big goals or those ambitious ideas and give them the courage to do so.
Yeah. You know, you had given me this question in advance, which is super helpful for me because I got to think through it. One of the big things is be confident in your abilities, figure out what you're good at, and go with that. I knew that I was good with people, and I knew that I was good with colors. Be confident in your ability, and your confidence will shine through like your work. You know, like I didn't plan on doing cookies. I started doing it for my kids. I was good at it. Therefore, it turned into a business opportunity. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't start from there. But once I figured out what I was doing, I did my best to research everything. I researched the cookie business. I researched business side. Honestly, you're not going to know until you try. As far as the risk factor of it, I was able to start this business, and my goal was to not put that much money into it. I know you have to spend money to make money, but in the beginning, I made it work. I hustled. I did everything that I could for free. I put money into the things that I needed to put money into. Probably most of the reason that people are starting their own business is because they want money. You know, like, we're not going to lie that like you want to be successful and you want to have money for whether it's to have money to buy,
I want to buy a trailer and renovate it.
Yeah. So it's like but that's your goal. Like that's one of your goals. I want to get to this trailer. My goal when I first started was I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to work outside of the home at that point because my kids were young. Now I really like working outside the home because all of my kids are in school. So it's different. I say have a business plan, have goals set for yourself, talk to other people who have done the same thing. You've talked to me before. You were Cassie, you reached out to Grant, he's been doing podcasts, but be willing to take constructive criticism, be open to fresh ideas, take the big step, take the big leap and just go for it. Awesome. What do you have to lose? If it's not at the expense of your family.
Yeah. And I love that. What do you have to lose? And we're going to fail in life. That's the way it is. And I've learned not to take myself too seriously. For people like you and I, we're going to work our butt off and we're going to make things happen. But that along the way, that's going to take failure, and that's going to take, we're going to lose our minds sometimes. We're going to lose money. Yeah.
There is a ton of failure. I've lost money along the way. I've not succeeded along the way, but you just have to start back up and keep doing it. Life threw us a really horrible curveball.
You're still living.
And we're like, okay, this is what we have. This is where we are. This is how we're going to move forward. And we have. You are an encouragement to me. I'm glad that you're doing this podcast. I think it's a great way to influence other women who need that push to start their own business. I would think that through this, you would have a group of people who are going to start doing big things, and you can rally around each other and support each other.
Yeah, that's my hope through this is that we can come alongside each other and encourage each other, create this group of women that are there for each other. So, all right. Well, y'all, thank you so much again, Angela and friends. It's you and me. Let's change the world. That's an ambitious idea, but let's just do it together. Until next week, I'm signing off. Thank you, Angela, and I will call you later. Yeah. All right. See you later.
Sounds good.